I'm 102 years old. I live alone in the same house I've lived in for 63 years. I make my own meals. I dress myself. I water my plants. I watch the news every evening at 6. People call me remarkable. They ask for my secret like I'm hiding some magic formula. But the truth is there is no secret. And what I've learned about independence isn't what anyone wants to hear. I was 74 when my husband died, Richard. We'd been married for 51 years. He went quietly in his sleep, which everyone said was a blessing. And maybe it was, for him. For me, it meant waking up in a house that had never been silent before. I didn't fall apart. I got up that first morning and made coffee. I read the paper. I called our daughter Anne and told her I was fine. Because I was fine. I'd always been capable, self-sufficient. I could cook and clean and manage the bills and fix a leaky faucet if I needed to. Independence had always been my strength. Richard used to joke that I didn't need him. He'd say it with a smile, but there was something underneath it, something true. I did need him. I just never showed it. After the funeral, people hovered for a while. Anne came by twice a week. Neighbors brought casseroles. Everyone kept asking if I was okay, if I needed anything, if I wanted company. I always said no. I appreciated the concern, but I was managing just fine. And I was. The house stayed clean. The yard stayed tended. I joined a book club at the library. I volunteered at the church. I proved to everyone, including myself, that I didn't need help, that I was still independent. Anne would call and suggest I move closer to her. She lives 2 states away with her husband and their grown kids. She'd say things like, "Mom, you're getting older. What if something happens? What if you fall?" I'd tell her I was perfectly capable, that I had no intention of being a burden, that I valued my independence too much to give it up. She stopped asking after a while. The years passed. 74 became 80. 80 became 90. The book club disbanded. The church got a new pastor who brought in younger volunteers. Friends started dying or moving to assisted living. The phone rang less often, but I was still independent, still managing, still proving I didn't need anyone. I started eating smaller meals because cooking for one felt wasteful. Cereal for dinner, toast and tea. Sometimes I'd forget to eat until the evening, and by then I wasn't hungry anyway. The house felt bigger, quieter. I'd walk through the rooms and everything was exactly where it should be. Richard's chair still in the living room, though I never sat in it. The dining table set for one. The bed made every morning, even though some nights I barely slept. Everything in order, everything under control. Anne would visit once or twice a year. She'd stay for a weekend, reorganize my kitchen, worry about the stairs, suggest home health aids. I'd smile and nod and wait for her to leave so I could put everything back the way it was. I told myself I was protecting my independence, my dignity. What I was really protecting was my pride. There were moments when the loneliness would hit me like a wave, sitting at the kitchen table with my coffee, the morning stretching out ahead of me with nothing but routine to fill it, or lying in bed at night, the silence so complete I could hear my own heartbeat. But I'd push those feelings down, tell myself I was fine, that this was just what life looked like at my age, that being alone was better than being a burden. I'm 98 when I fall, not down the stairs like Anne always feared, just in the bathroom reaching for a towel. I catch myself on the sink, but I wrench my shoulder badly. I don't tell anyone for 3 days. I manage. I learn to dress with one arm. I eat foods I don't have to cut. I tell myself it's healing on its own. On the 4th day, my neighbor, a woman named Patricia, who's barely 70 and still works part-time, notices I haven't taken my trash to the curb. She knocks on the door. I try to hide the pain, but she sees through it immediately. She drives me to urgent care. They x-ray my shoulder. Nothing broken, but significant strain. The doctor asks if I live alone. I say yes with my chin up. He says I need to take it easy, rest, let it heal properly. Patricia says she'll check on me. I thank her, but insist I'll be fine. That night, trying to open a jar of soup with one hand, I sit at the kitchen table with the jar in front of me, and I cry for the first time since Richard's funeral, not because of the pain, not even because of the jar, because I've spent 24 years proving I didn't need anyone, and now I can't open my own dinner. Patricia comes by the next morning. She opens the jar. She makes me toast. She sits with me while I eat, and she doesn't make a big deal out of any of it. She comes back the next day and the next. I try to thank her, to tell her she doesn't have to, but she waves me off. What else am I doing, she says. After a week, she asks if I'd like company for dinner sometimes, not to help me, just to eat together. I say yes. It's the first time in years I've said yes to anything like that. My shoulder heals. Patricia keeps coming by. Sometimes we eat together. Sometimes we just sit on the porch. She tells me about her grandkids. I tell her about Richard, about Anne. She listens in a way I'd forgotten people could listen. One afternoon, she asks if Anne knows about the fall. I shake my head. Maybe you should tell her, Patricia says gently. I don't want to worry her, I say. Maybe she wants to worry about you, Patricia says. Maybe that's part of loving someone. I think about that for a long time. I think about all the times I told Anne I was fine when I wasn't. All the times I turned down her offers to visit. All the ways I kept her at a distance because I didn't want to need her, because needing felt like failing. I'm 100 now when Anne visits for my birthday. She brings a cake and flowers and her whole family. My great-grandchildren run through the house, and it feels full again, just for a few hours. The noise, the laughter, the life. I'd forgotten what that felt like. Before they leave, I ask Anne if we can talk. We sit in the kitchen, just the two of us, and I tell her about the fall, about Patricia, about how hard it's been. Some days to do everything alone. I expect her to say, I told you so, to lecture me about being stubborn. Instead, she takes my hand and says, thank you for telling me. Her eyes are wet. Mine are too. She asks if she can call more often, if she can help set up a visiting nurse. Just once a week, just to check in. I want to say no. That old reflex is still there, but I say yes. The nurse comes on Tuesdays. Her name is Maria. She checks my blood pressure, makes sure I'm taking my medications, asks about my week. Sometimes she stays for tea. She tells me about her children, about her mother who's in her 80s and also lives alone. She's like you, Maria says one day. Doesn't want help, doesn't want to be a burden. I ask what Maria does about it. I keep showing up, she says, even when she says she's fine, especially when she says she's fine. Patricia still comes by. Anne calls twice a week now instead of twice a month. She's planning to visit for Christmas and stay a whole week this time. I still live alone. I still make my own meals most days. I still water my plants and watch the news at 6. But I'm learning something I should have learned 30 years ago. Independence isn't doing everything by yourself. It's having the strength to let people in. I spent so many years afraid that needing help meant I was weak, that accepting support meant giving up my dignity. I thought independence meant never being a burden, but all those years of protecting my independence, I was really just protecting my loneliness. Richard used to say I didn't need him, and I never corrected him because part of me liked that image. The capable wife, the strong woman, the one who could handle anything. But I did need him. I needed him every single day, and I needed Anne. And I need Patricia and Maria now. Needing people doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. I wish I'd understood that when I was 74. I wish I'd let Anne help more, let neighbors in, let myself be cared for instead of just being capable. I can't get those years back. All those dinners eaten alone. All those evenings in the silence, all those times I said, I'm fine, when what I meant was, I'm lonely. I can't undo the distance I created, the walls I built, the help I refused. But I have now. I have Tuesday mornings with Maria. I have dinner with Patricia. I have phone calls with Anne where we actually talk instead of me just reassuring her. I'm managing. I'm 102 years old. I live alone, yes, but I'm not lonely anymore. That's the secret, if there is one. Not that I can do everything myself, but that I finally learned I don't have to. If this meant something to you, if you recognize something in my story, maybe you don't have to wait as long as I did to learn it. Maybe you can let someone in today.